If you can't see it, you can't protect it. If you can't see the packets, the processes, and the applications, how can you protect your network? Threat actors are finding novel ways in. And once in, they're living within the noise of our networks, using our own ports and protocols against us, moving laterally across that network, planning ransomware, exploiting our vulnerabilities, and then creating command and control channels for future tunneling operations. This is the end state without visibility. But with VMware, we can turn on the lights and give you access and visibility to every packet, every process, and every application across your VDIs, your workloads, through the network, all the way to recovery. Let me show you how this works. Now, we would all like to think that we would stop clicking on things. But human nature is not going to allow us to do that, most likely. There's $1,000 on the table here, and this developer decided to click on this phishing link. And what happens is when he clicks on that link, malware is silently installed on this VDI. So let's take a look and see what we see. With Carbon Black Endpoint Detection Response, we have visibility into every process and every application on your VDIs and your workloads. Take a look here. This threat actor is using PowerShell just like your administrators do in executing an unknown binary. They're also using our own applications against us here. They're using it to enumerate the endpoint as well as the network. And now, unlike traditional endpoint detection response, Carbon Black has the extended detection response, whereby we now can see interactions of endpoint network processes with the actual process itself. Now, let's back up and get out of the endpoint and start moving toward and looking at the network. We were just announced that NSX Plus network detection and response has visibility into every packet across your multi-cloud operations. And here we see the initial access of that drive-by download being successful as it landed and executed on the developer's VDI. Now, once in, what do? They're going to live within our networks, within the noise, and here again, this is where they begin to use our ports and protocols against us to move laterally, but here they're moving from a cloud to an on-premise. And this is NSX Plus visibility across all of your multi-clouds, and we have detection to this as well. Here we see threat actors using remote desktop protocol. By the way, that's one of the top protocols threat actors use today to move laterally across the organization. So here we see RDP from the dev bastion host move laterally across multi-clouds to the on-premise order checkout. Now, from this perspective, now he's in my San Francisco site. This threat actor again begins to enumerate, and he finds an underlying vulnerability and decides to exploit it, plant ransomware, and then create command and control traffic outside the organization for future tunneling exercises. Here again, NSX has the capability to see the east-west remote code execution, as well as that command and control traffic that was established once that threat actor gained that initial access on the Acme payment. Now, we all know that a great ransomware defense strategy includes prevention, which we can prevent here, as well as detection. But it also includes recovery. Now, recovery is more than just backups. We have to immediately be able to isolate and then recover. Now, with VMware ransomware recovery, we now have the ability to recover across multi-sites. We're giving you critical capabilities here, all in a single console. As an example, you can restore both on-prem and cloud capabilities. And last year, we were the industry first to announce an on-demand isolated recovery environment where you can bring up your workloads in a safe environment. Now, from there, in this workflow, you now have the ability to choose the right restore point. And we give you information around those restore points. Here, as an example, this is where we have seen an encryption event take place on one of your restore points. You need to go back a few days, and this one here seems to be more of a clean restore point for you to start. From here, it immediately starts these restore points in the isolated recovery environment, and this is where we perform live behavioral analysis because we want to restore something clean. We do not want to reinfect your environment. And if there's anything here, underlying vulnerabilities, underlying ransomware, dormant ransomware, those types of things, we will alert you so that you can go and try to remedy those. And on top of that, we now have this recovery summary that tells you exactly where you are within your recovery operations. In backup, in validation, is it staged, or is it already been recovered? And part of the isolated recovery environment, we give you many options in which you can isolate your recovery. Here, you can fully isolate it if you want. Another aspect that we give you is allow outbound access to the internet used to expose ransomware or dormant ransomware. Now, to end this demo, NIST has provided a framework. And that framework here is to prevent and to recover. And at VMware, we believe that visibility can actualize zero trust. Today, I talked about the identity, the protection, and the detection that we have with the VMware Carbon Black Endpoint Detection Response, as well as our NSX Plus network detection response, and our VMware ransom recovery. Now, last year, we announced some critical capabilities around VMware ransomware capabilities. We announced the cloud-based isolated recovery environment, as well as we embedded next-generation AV and behavioral analysis, and we have extended this guided workflow. But this year, we are happy to announce that now we have added the concurrent multi-VM recovery operations across multi-clouds, not just on-premise. And now we have a cyber-secure storage with vSAN, and this is in tech preview, and this is going to accelerate your transfers when it comes to the restoration of your infrastructure. And finally, we have extended support with Protect Google Cloud by adding the VMware Engine VMs. Now, as we summarize today, I thank you for your attention. And we heard a lot about our innovations around the infrastructure, around network and security, developer-ready infrastructure, as well as ransomware as a disaster as a service. Today, we talked about VMware Cloud Foundation enhancements for vSAN Max. And also, we talked to the lifecycle services, as well as the integrations around NSX Plus across your multi-clouds. Mesh talked about the NSX Plus and VPCs. And I just got finished talking about all the visibility that we have across the infrastructure to prevent or reduce the dwell time of those threat actors and recover with confidence. And here today, we're meeting you where you are in your journey. And we thank you again for being that trusted partner of VMware as you go and deploy within your organizations. And today, we're enabling applications, you heard about this today, to benefit from AI with the VMware Cloud Foundation, as well as the VMware Private AI Foundation.